Welcome back to the Banganator podcast, brought to you by your host, Esley Banga. Episode 15, week 15 in the NFL. But this time, I'm not going to start off with, how about them Cowboys? They don't deserve it. They lost against the Jags this past weekend. Instead, I'm going to start off with, hook 'em horns. Texans women's volleyball won the Natty. They beat Louisville 3-0 in the national championship. So yeah, I got my Longhorns gear on, my Longhorns pendant. They deserve it. They deserve the love. Cowboys don't this week. So before I continue, thank you to all my subscribers and all my followers and everybody who views my videos. Keep liking and keep subscribing so I can keep bringing y'all content. Now let's get to it. So now I'm going to get into the Cowboys' underwhelming performance against the Jaguars. It's frustrating being a Cowboys fan. My wife was watching the game at the same time, and she iterated the same thing as me. It was frustrating seeing the Cowboys up 27-10 in the third quarter, but couldn't maintain that lead. The record says that y'all are, and we've seen it, y'all were a better team like throughout the season than the Jaguars. The Jaguars have a losing record right now. We have a winning one. And then you let them climb back into the game. You let them take the lead. And then you score again, but then you make mistakes and you let it get to overtime and you make overtime mistakes and that costs you the game. So let me get into the stats. Dak Prescott, 23 for 30, which ain't bad. 23 completions out of 30 attempts. 256 yards, 3 touchdowns. But the biggest thing was the 2 interceptions. The interception at the end wasn't his fault. Noah Brown should have caught that ball. But that first interception that Dak had, that was all him. He had pressure. He was facing pressure. He was about to get sacked. But he just throws it. And the defender that catches the ball that intercepts it, none of our wide receivers were anywhere around him. So that was an easy pick. Tony Pollard, 75 yards. Ezekiel Elliott, 58 yards, 1 touchdown. Ezekiel Elliott is the reason why we had that early touchdown. CeeDee Lamb, 126 receiving yards. No touchdowns, but 126 yards, that's a lot. So I do commend him for that. He was making plays. Noah Brown, 49 yards, 2 touchdowns. Hey, he got 2 tutties. So he making plays. He balling. But there were times when he either doesn't catch the ball or, as we see, you don't catch the ball cleanly, tip ball, interception, pick 6 to win the game, like we saw. Frustrating. Peyton Hendershot, the backup tight end, 20 yards, 1 touchdown. First time I saw him making plays, it was on National Tight Ends Day a few weeks ago. And he is a playmaker. He is a playmaker. Anytime the ball goes his way, he makes plays. Cowboys defense, underwhelming as well. We were able to hold them to 10 points in the first half, but in the second half, defense, what you doing? You let him climb all the way back. 1 sack by Micah Parsons. Good job, Micah Parsons. The rest of the defense, where you at? Deron Bland, 1 interception. Hey, good job. Good job, Deron Bland. That's 2 weeks in a row where you doing good things. 1 fumble recovery. What was frustrating was that fumble recovery at the end of the game, it ended up being for nothing. How many times are we going to keep going 3 and out? He should have taken care of business. I thought the game was going to be over whenever Trevor Lawrence escaped the sack, was making a play, but then fumbled. We got the ball back, but then we go 3 and out, give them the ball back, and then now they can tie the game. So it's extremely frustrating. Cowboys, be better. You got to do better, especially going up against the Eagles. Because at this point, all these mistakes that we're doing, it's not good enough. and we're going to be out of the playoffs just like that. So be better. Now, a look ahead to the Cowboys Week 16 matchup against the Eagles. It seems like everybody has been talking about this matchup for weeks, months now even, since the last time that they played on Sunday Night Football in Philly. They play at 3:25 Central Time on Fox. My wife is going to be there. One of her friends invited her to the game, so I know that's going to be fun for them. And I know how it feels to be in that stadium and walk out of that stadium with a loss. So I hope that we get a win, and I hope that they experience a win, my wife and her friend. But I think we're going to lose, especially if Jalen Hurts plays. Now, there have been reports that Jalen Hurts, the official report has been that Jalen Hurts sprained his shoulder against the Bears. But so it's still a 50-50 chance. It's up in the air whether he's going to play or not. If he plays, I think we lose. He just has too much playmaking ability, especially with his legs, for our defense. But if he doesn't play, I feel like we have more of an equal opportunity to win, like a more 50-50 chance to win. So that's my prediction. That's my analysis. The way that we played the past two games against the Texans and the Jaguars, I don't think that we're going to win against Philly. But let's see. And now it's time for my top 4 favorite things from Week 15 in the NFL. In football terms. So on first down, my first favorite thing is the Bills versus Dolphins matchup last Saturday. It was a good game. The Bills won 32-29. However, everybody on both sides showed why they're elite. Tua Tagovailoa, Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, they showed why they ballers, and they probably going to make some noise in the playoffs. And Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs on the Bills, they showed why they are top playmakers almost every week. It was a good game, and I just love the atmosphere, the snow. It felt like a playoff atmosphere, but Bills ended up with the game-winning kick at the end. You saw them sliding in the snow, and that's the type of game that you want to be in. So that's why it's my favorite thing from Week 15. On second down, my second favorite thing from Week 15 was Justin Fields' 39-yard scramble against the Eagles. At first, they thought it was a touchdown, so they called it a touchdown, but it was called back. He barely stepped out, but what an acrobatic play. We know Justin Fields can run ever since his days in high school and at Ohio State in college. But Justin Fields, you are one of a kind, so keep doing your thing, keep making plays. On third down, my third favorite thing from Week 15 in the NFL was the Vikings completing the largest comeback in the history of the NFL. They were down 33-0, and somehow they found a way to get back in it in the second half and win 39-36. The game went into overtime. And this is now the second time that Matt Ryan is on the wrong side of history. We all know him being ahead of the Patriots 28-3 in the Super Bowl in 2017. And then end up losing that game. And now this happens to Matt Ryan. So I feel bad for him. I do feel bad for him. But Colts, how y'all give up a 33-point lead? Like, that's embarrassing. Y'all really let the Vikings do that. And on fourth down, my fourth favorite thing from Week 15 is the Bengals beating the Buccaneers 34-23. Joe Burrow had 200 yards, 4 touchdowns, and the Bengals just keep on rolling. Tom Brady and the Bucs still looking lackluster as always this season. And I'm just really commending Joe Burrow. It's looking like they're going to go far in the playoffs based off of their recent performances. And I got to give it to him. I'm glad he's my fantasy football quarterback. I feel like he's going to lead me to a fantasy football championship. And now it's time for the top biggest news from the University of Texas. Them Texas volleyball girls They won the Natty. They won it against Louisville, 3-0. It was incredible. I was watching them the whole entire tournament, and to cap it off just like that, 3-0, it's amazing. They were led by star player Logan Eggleston. She's the one who won MVP. And this came after winning National Player of the Year last week before the championship game. So it just goes to show how great of a player she is, and it's amazing that how she led this team to a championship victory. University of Men's Basketball, they on a roll. They now 10-1. They just beat Louisiana. They mollywopped them 100-72, and it was led by Marcus Carr. The onslaught was led by Marcus Carr and star player Timmy Allen. Texas women's basketball is also impressing. They got a big dub, 62-48. That's a big win, 14 points. And surprisingly, it wasn't star player Rory Harmon leading them to victory. It was players like Shaylin Gonzalez with 22 points and Deanna Gaston with 16 points leading the way for this Texas victory. So they're doing just as good. They're 7-4 on the season. Hey, good job, Texas. Keep it up. Last Friday on December 16th, my cousin Aaron and I, we went to the Mavs game, Mavs versus Trailblazers game, where they mollywopped. They demolished the Trailblazers 130-110. Yeah, 130-110. And we had so much fun. It was my cousin's first time going to an NBA game, and he just enjoys watching good basketball. So that's what he got, especially with what Luka Doncic and the Mavericks were putting on tape. Luka, Christian Wood, Tim Hardaway, the whole crew. So because of them performing great, we got to enjoy the show, and we had a great time. Luka Doncic, he had 33 points, 9 assists. Christian Wood, 32 points. That was the surprising thing to me, how well Christian Wood was playing. 32 points. So whenever Luka was on the bench, he could relax. He could stay on the bench for a little bit because Christian Wood was getting them points. And then the rest of the surrounding crew, they did what they were supposed to. The Mavs record is now 15-16. They lost the more recent games. They lost 100-99 against the Cavs and 116-106 against the Timberwolves. So, kind of like the Cowboys, there is some frustration with the Mavs because you see how great they can be, but then you get disappointing losses against teams that ain't all that. So, I don't know if we need to get more help for Luka, but something needs to happen. That's all we got for today. Thank you for tuning in and watching this episode of the Banganator podcast. Please keep liking and subscribing so I can keep bringing y'all content. Let's beat the Eagles on Christmas Eve. Merry Christmas to everybody. Have a great week and weekend. Go Cowboys.
The Banganator podcast is brought to you by Esley Banga, diehard fan of the Dallas Cowboys since 1997. How about them Cowboys?